Howdy, listeners. As we all know, planet Earth has 7.5 billion people, and 7.4 billion of those people have small businesses. Now, to be fair, numbers that size can be hard to envision, and to be even fairer, most of what I just said is entirely made up. But I'll tell you what isn't made up. Keap. Keap is the all-in-one client management software designed specifically for small businesses. Keap takes the most annoying and laborious parts of running a small business and metaphorically tosses them into the sun. Stop grinding yourself to death with busy work and repetitive tasks. Let Keap integrate your customer follow-ups, messaging automation, next-level appointment setting, and so much more. Head over to Keap.com and start your free trial of Keap Grow, Keap Pro, or for those looking for something beefier, talk to one of our coaches about Infusionsoft, the product that started it all. More business, less work, that's Keap. Just go to Keap.com to start your free trial. That's Keap.com. One more time, that's Keap.com.
But I literally do have dreams of being a ninja. I don't know why. I think it's because I basically bust into any room at any time and everyone hears me coming. But like my dream would be...
That sounds like the opposite of a ninja, my girl.
I know, that's my point. I think that's why I really have dreams of like being so quiet. I'm literally in an all black getup, sneaking around, sneaking up on people, and it just won't ever
Are these
happen.
actual dreams? Or are you talking figuratively?
Maybe they're like dreams, aspiration dreams.
Because
like,
Paul, you may not know this about Crystal, but she's also a hip hop dancer. The problem is, like, I imagine you creeping into a room that's got great music thumping, and then it's like it all goes to pot because you can't,
I can't. I'm probably
like,
going in on the
what is
8
that?
beats. Exactly. It's just me hip hopping into a room trying to be a ninja. But I guess we all have aspirations. You guys chose to be entrepreneurs. And here I am trying to be a hip hop dancer at 38 with a recital in June. Yeah, a hip hop ninja.
I can't think of a better segue into this amazing episode that we're going to have. Welcome, everybody. This is Small Biz Buzz. And today we're going to have you don't have a great episode. You can't not have a great episode when it starts out with ninja hip hop dancing. So welcome.
I'm pretty sure. And I have to say, Paul, you were like... I'm not going to tell you the truth. I've been doing social media marketing for 10 years. So one, I'm really excited to have someone on here to talk social today. And two, I almost didn't go to your session because I thought, I don't know, it's hard to like really after 10 years to learn too much more about ads unless you're like not really staying in touch with what's new. So I was like, I don't know. Then I thought, you know what? I don't see another session I really will want to check out. So I went to your session at Social Media Marketing World and I was sitting there thinking, this guy is the Facebook ninja. Like you had secrets that were new to me and I was really impressed. I mean, I'm an organic lover of heart, like at all social things, but we still boost posts and it's still important to know about ads. But you took two of my loves and merged them. You took research, which I am a nerd. I heard you say you were a nerd too. So very nerdy, love research. Facts. Scott, I know Scott loves research as well. But you took research and you combined it with Facebook ads. And my mind was blown. You were looking at things I've looked at for years and looking at it in a different way that gave me hope to go back and check things out. So I'm so grateful that you wanted to join us today and wanted to chat about some of the secrets. I'll call them secrets because they just were a totally new way of looking at something. But I was so excited to see if you would come on the show. And I'm really excited to have you on to help other small business owners look at their ads a little bit differently and hopefully get them what they need to really shine in their ads.
Oh, thank you, Crystal. What an introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm super pumped to be here. And yeah, thank you for such a lovely introduction, Crystal. And thank you for coming to my session at Social Media Marketing World. It was lots of fun. Lots and lots of fun.
It was
I'm
great.
hoping we can... hoping I bring as much value today as what it sounds like I brought to you at Social Media Marketing World. So I'm excited.
For sure.
So Paul,
I think you will.
for all of our listeners who weren't out partying at Social Media Marketing World, which is basically just a party, as we all know now.
Hey, look, there was a lot of lessons that were learned there, and that was in between all the drinking,
That's right.
Yes. Exactly.
Give them a rundown of who you are and what you are about in the world.
For sure, for sure. Hey guys, my name's Paul Ramondo. I'm a massive nerd for all things digital marketing and tech. And I guess the nutshell version of what I do is help small business owners and entrepreneurs generate highly qualified leads and sales using Facebook ads and digital marketing funnels.
Great.
So I just want to dive right in because we have a lot to unpack in a short show here, and I want to try to give them as much as they can. But one of the things I was most interested in is, one, how you use research further than I've really ever looked at it in terms of the areas you're looking and how you expand that from what you can get on Facebook natively and into just like a Google search. And then specifically, the thing that keeps coming back to my mind was the example you gave about the music festival. So I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about both of those things.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So when it comes to research, I mean, there's so many different types of research you can do on Facebook. And what I was speaking specifically about at Social Media Marketing World was called audience research. So how do you find your perfect audience avatar? Where are they living on Facebook? Where are they? And how do you define that avatar and then go out and use the tools that are available both intra Facebook and then extra Facebook to find that audience, refine them, and then build an audience avatar, build an ad set for targeting so you can then run ads and test to see what resonates and what doesn't resonate with your target audience. So I guess taking from the top, I think one of the most important things that you can do before you run any Facebook ad, especially to a cold audience, is working out what that definition of that avatar is. So who is that person? Where do they live? What do they do for fun? What aspirational values and attitudes do they have that motivate them or scare them when you're talking about the path to purchase? So what are the internal emotions in which your product or service solves or activates for your audience? And how does that relate to the avatar that you're targeting? And then
Which
on top of that,
say is actually one of the most difficult parts of Facebook marketing, because it's great they have all these options of all these ways to find people. But what happens is if you work with a team, you have your marketing team tell you, well, this is the type of demographics that everyone has. These are the people we're looking for. But not every demographic can be found in Facebook targeting. So that what you're describing is one of the most complicated things. But I think the way you went about it just really enlightened me and gave it a more simple approach, really.
Yeah, for sure. And I think demographics are super, super important. The age, the gender, the location, all the basic kind of real top level attributes about your audience avatar. Those demographic attributes are very important. And when I sit down and I build out an avatar for either a product-centric or a customer-centric business, which I can get into more in a second, I dive deep, right? So you've got the demographics, but then you also want to look at the sociographics, right? So let's say you've got a definition of, let's say, give me a business. Let's do a live workshop. Give me a business example. Give me something to sell and who I'm trying to sell it to.
Let's do, Scott, should we go gym owner? What are you feeling today, Scott?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do gym owner.
Gym
let's
owner.
do like a gym owner.
Gym owner, cool. Now, caveat for everyone listening, this is a gym owner that in a post-COVID world when everything is back to normal. Okay?
Right.
All right.
Great. Sounds good.
Because the avatar, and interestingly on that, the avatar and the challenges and the aspirations along the path to purchase for the target audience of a gym owner during what's happening right now with COVID, and depending on what they're selling, is going to be very different to what they're usually selling post-COVID, right? So let's just do
100%.
Post-COVID, right?
Great.
Yep.
So, cool. So a gym owner, they, let's say, depends what kind of gym. Firstly, what kind of gym they're running, right? So they could be running a women's only gym. They could be running a gym with multiple locations, like a gym chain. They could be running like an F45 type gym. They could be running a traditional bodybuilder gym. And I'm going to speak to what I know. So I used to be a massive gym rat back in the day and used to, when I was younger, I used to spend a lot of time in the gym with, bodybuilding champions and dudes that I learned a lot off in terms of training. Now, the gym that I used to work out in, used to spend 6-7 days a week there. It was very much an old school Arnold Schwarzenegger, like really like
The real
old
deal.
school equipment. Yeah, like
Yeah.
a vibe, like, and it was part of its vibe, it's part of its lure. Now, in describing that, you can already kind of see that there is a specific avatar for that gym, because Sally, I don't know, Sally, the 23-year-old that wants to get beach ready in time for summer, that may want to drop a few kilos or a few pounds, depending on whereabouts and then what system you use to measure. She's not going to enjoy the vibe and the ambience and the atmosphere of a traditional bodybuilder gym. She might be looking for something completely different in terms of her gym experience. So automatically we know that Sally is not going to be in our target audience. And our target audience, stereotypically speaking, for this hypothetical bodybuilder gym is going to be, say, men between the ages of, and some women, but primarily men between the ages of, say, 18 and 25 years old, or maybe 18 and 35 years old. Now, if there's only one location for that gym, then that gym is going to be in what's known as a customer-centric business. That's because it's a local business, and you'll find that most local businesses are customer-centric businesses. So that gym, you're basically going to be targeting your target avatar within a certain geographic radius around the location of that gym. Now, let's say that that gym is also part of a chain. There's like there's a chain of these bodybuilding gyms. So if that's the case, you'd then be targeting the geographic location around each address of all of the or if each individual location of the gym, right?
Right.
Now, let's say that we want to find who that avatar is on Facebook beyond the geographic location of the gym. And let's say that the reason we're wanting to do that is because we are also selling, this gym is now also one that sells its own proprietary blends of protein and pre-workouts and thermogenics. So it's got a massive product line in which it sells digitally, which extends beyond the physical service in which it offers in terms of lifting weights and getting shredded in the physical location. So we want to now generate e-commerce sales for that gym with our target audience. But now our target audience isn't locally centered. It is within the entire geographic region in which we're operating in. So let's say that gym is also a supplement store, right? And it operates and sells locally within Australia. Cool.
Right.
Now, what I've done is I've defined two examples of an example of what a customer-centric business is. The customer-centric business being the geographic location of that local gym, right? That's a customer-centric business because it's a local business. And then on top of that, it's now a product-centric business as well because it has an e-commerce aspect to it, which sells to our target audience, which lives all over Australia. Now, we go back and we define that avatar. Let's say, and with going back to the same example, the avatar is the same as the people that go and lift weights at the gym, 18 to 35-year-old men, except now they're located all over Australia. So we need to go and find who is our perfect avatar that would be most likely, right? Most likely to respond positively to ads that we're running in their feed to purchase our product. And the product in this situation is the e-commerce aspect of the protein or the weightlifting supplements, thermogenics, pre-workout, whatever. So you have to now start your information search. And one of the best ways you can start an information search for this is by using the Audience Insights tool.
This was my favorite part.
Yes. So I'm just jumping all over the place because my mind is just active in real time. We also need to work out, in terms of defining that avatar, we need to work out the demographic profile, like I touched on earlier. We need to work out the sociographic profile. So think sociographic profile being things like what platforms and channels does this jacked 25-year-old weightlifter dude consume? What websites does he go on? Does he go on bodybuilding.com? Does he go on sixpackshortcuts.com or sixpacksecrets.com? Like, what blogs and content does he consume? What magazines does he consume? What fitness idols and icons does he look up to? Does he look up to someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or does he follow an influencer like Zach Perner? Who are the people and the idols and the influencers and the thought leaders that this target audience member follows and consumes on a regular basis, right? Now, on top of that, what kind of platforms and software do they use during their workouts or around their fitness life? So do they use Strava? Do they use MyFitnessPal to track their calories and macronutrients and micronutrients? Do they use Nike Run Club? Do they using Apple Health Kit? Just think really laterally about what platforms and tools and apps this specific avatar is using. And of course, this is going to be different for every single avatar in which you build.
So Paul, earlier you talked about trying to get to understand the attitudes and sort of the internal emotions of your target. Are these what you've just gone through, these sociographic factors? Is this sort of the proxy that you use to understand the emotional and sort of attitudinal characteristics of the audience?
So that's a great question. So basically, you've got your demographics, right, which we discussed earlier. Then we've got your sociographics, examples of which I just provided then. And then in terms of what you're referring to, which is the third layer of the cake, we've got the psychographic profile, right? So the psychographic profile being, okay, I'm a 25-year-old dude. I've started lifting weights, and I want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? But I don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So what do I have to do in order for me to transform my physique to become the next Arnold Schwarzenegger or become, jacked and shredded? So psychologically, that would be an aspirational lever in which we can pull on within our marketing creative, with our marketing messaging, and also allows us to further refine the targeting that we're doing, because we know that this subset of our audience, this avatar specifically, aspirationally wants to get huge, which means if you want to transform your physique to say you want to add 20 or 10 to 15 kilos of muscle mass onto your physique, and you're, say, 70 kilos, and I apologize, I'm using the metric system for everyone listening that's based in America.
I know a kilo in America is much different than a kilo that you're talking about. I'm watching too much Narcos.
Oh, vibes. So, yes, a kilo in America, but then by definition would be a good way to lose weight, if you know what I mean. So basically, in order to transform your physique, and for that audience to transform their physique, and that's psychologically something they're aspiring to, that gives you an insight into, okay, what does our service that we're offering at this gym, or what does our service that we're offering through our weightlifting supplements, how can that help our audience achieve that goal? So you would then build, say, that would give you an idea for content. So you can give them, advice in terms of supplements for weight gainers. You can give them best ways to do a clean bulk, or best ways to do a dirty bulk. You could teach them about macronutrient tracking. You could teach them about the best scientifically proven exercises for you to do in terms of lifting heavy versus the volumes of reps. That kind of educational based top of the funnel content, which you could then start running to that target audience that wants to add on that 15 to 20 kilos so they can become, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Greek god looking and worthy. Do you know what I mean?
Who wouldn't want to? Paul, right? When you're looking, so for a lot of small business owners, they don't necessarily, they don't hop into audience insights. They don't necessarily get all the way around. So can you tell them some of the things you have been able to find in an audience insights research, and how you've taken that to expand your audience that you're targeting, or narrow down depending on what you're attempting to do? Because there might be times you would want to do either of those. Yeah,
for sure. So it goes back to everything stems from the top. So if you're doing kind of like a step-by-step look at all of this, and I appreciate that I'm jumping all over the place. Step one is you really need to find your avatar. You want to know your avatar better than you know yourself, right? So Avatar, you want to know their demographics, give them a name as well. So we've got Sam, who's 25 years old, who lives in, say, Perth, Western Australia, and he wants to become like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And sociographically, all his interests and his attributes and platforms that he uses, like MyFitnessPal and Strava. And on top of that, psychologically, in terms of his profile, that he wants to become jacked, right? So that's our avatar. Now, from that avatar, you use that as the foundation for your interest targeting and your interest research. So what you want to do is take that avatar, right? And then you want to say, open up a Google Sheet or open up a Word doc, and basically narrow down any potential interests that this specific avatar that you've defined for your business might be interested in. And then you want to take that and you want to go over to audience insights, and then you want to start playing around with audience insights. So the first thing you want to do is put in the demographic information. So we're looking for people in Australia between the ages of 18 and 35 based on the avatar we defined earlier. And then we want to go down and start adding in interests. And those interests are going to come from our audience avatar worksheet, which we've basically worked out. So you might type in interested in MyFitnessPal and see if that works, see if that comes up as an interest for you to target. Now, let's say we just put that one interest in Audience Insights, MyFitnessPal, which is the app that allows you to track your macronutrients and a bunch of other stuff. Excuse me. And then on Audience Insights, you want to navigate. So when you're looking at Audience Insights, you want to navigate basically to like the middle of the page, and you'll find a section called Page Likes, and you want to click on the Page Likes tab. And what that's going to do is it's going to show you all of the pages related to the interest that you've just put in, MyFitnessPal. And it's also underneath that going to show you the affinity of other pages in which are suggested based on the interests that you're now searching for inside of Audience Insights. So let's say we've added in, because we've done the demographics, we add in, say, audience. So we add in MyFitnessPal, and you're like, cool. Another app that this person might be interested in is Strava, right? So you type in Strava, and that comes up as an interest. You're like, cool. Now what that's going to do is it's going to change the affinity, and it's going to change the suggestions of page likes in that tab that we've just opened inside of the same tool, inside of Audience Insights. And you're going to see the affinity, and affinity is a measure of how likely the audience that you're building, of the interests that you're targeting, how likely that audience is to respond positively to your ads and your content that you run on Facebook,
So cool.
compared to everyone else on Facebook, right? So it's a measure of, as you add more interests in, it's a really good way, the affinity score is a really good way to work out, okay, if the affinity score is increasing and it's not dropping, or if it's not dropping too dramatically, then we know that we're kind of on the right track, because we want to find audiences which have the highest level of affinity compared to other people on Facebook from the interests that we're targeting. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. 2 days ago, I think we did our webinar talking about lifecycle marketing. Lifecycle marketing is the proven framework that we created over a decade ago that helps businesses to design the perfect customer journey that will lead them to consistent growth. And right at the beginning, under the system of collecting leads, which is one of the first three systems, we have this whole concept of targeting. And the reason is because we recognize how clear it is for you as a business owner to understand. I like the way that you said it, Paul. You've got to understand your ideal target customer even better than yourself. Is that really possible? Oh, I guess we don't really understand ourselves, do we?
Yeah,
well, look,
right.
yeah, you want to basically, yeah, I say you want to know them better than yourselves, or want to know them better than your best friend or your partner or your mum. And the reason that I say that is because one of the biggest mistakes that I see when people sit down to do targeting, specifically audience research and avatar targeting, is that they mistakenly assume that they are their target audience.
Yep.
And sometimes that's correct. Like, you could be your target audience, but that's probably like 1% of the time that you are literally the person that you're selling to. And even in that 1%, you're still not your target audience, because you have a cognitive bias against what you're selling, because you're romantic about what it is that you're selling. You're romantic about your business. So you really need to psychologically disconnect and emotionally disconnect yourself from the targeting and the research process, and think, okay, I'm not talking to myself. I need to talk to the people that I'm selling to.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And you have to constantly remind yourself that. And so what we talk about is the need for people to climb inside the head of their prospects. And so listeners, as you're listening to what Paul's talking about, he's giving fantastic and concrete examples for ways that you can basically use Facebook. You can think of Facebook as sort of this, I mean, I don't want to make this political at all, but whether you like it or not, Facebook is in the heads of a lot of people because they're able to watch the behaviors of a lot of people.
Right.
And so what we're talking about here is the ability you have to go in and use the Audience Insights tool to learn things about your audience that may not otherwise be obvious. And so I just think it's super powerful, because the value of this is number one, it's going to impact the way that you might be able to leverage a tool like Facebook to find more people like that. But even more than that, it's going to allow you to adapt the message and the conversation to really meet the needs of those people. And again, some of those needs are not completely evident. And so, the concept of going in and adding these characteristics, and then understanding from Facebook that, look, a lot of people that have that characteristic also have these page likes. And not only that, you can say, now with your affinity score, you are understanding what the likelihood is of that person actually responding. Like it's unheard of that you can have that amount of work just sitting there at your computer. So it's amazing.
And I'll tell you, who knows me better than myself is Facebook. So,
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
if you know your avatar, you can get to the people you're trying to sell to or trying to serve if you're using Facebook and the tools they have correctly. I mean, I just think being able to go into audience insights, everyone, first of all small businesses out there should be looking at audience insights. It's something I do just to understand a little bit better. But what I really enjoyed about your presentation, Paul, was seeing about how you take that and use it to really, like that affinity score thing is taking it a next step, and then being able to translate that to your ad targeting is really next level. But if you're not even in, audience insights, get in there. It's important to understand who's already, if you already have some kind of audience on your Facebook page, who's already engaging with you, who's already liking your page.
So let's Crystal, for those, I'm assuming there are some people on listening today that don't have a clue what audience insights really is. So let's start with let's pretend I know absolutely nothing. And so what is audience? Is this some paid tool I have to use? How do I get access to it? Is it really something I could go leverage? Do I need to hire someone to do that? Let's start with the basics.
For sure. So great news, fam. Totally free. Love that. Love a free tool. Built into the back end of Facebook. So let's go super elementary. How to access the audience insights tool. You want to go into Facebook Ads Manager, right? And then in the top left-hand corner of Facebook Ad Manager, you're going to click on the little drawer in the top left-hand corner. And then that drawer is going to drop down. And then you're going to see a bunch of columns. And in those columns, you're going to see audience insights. And you just want to click on audience insights, or it might, depending on which version of Facebook you're using, it might be called audience research. And if you can't find it, you're a simple, like most things, you're a simple Google search away. Like, how do I find the audience insights tool on Facebook? And then you're going to click on that. And then once you find it, you're going to click on that, and then you're going to be able to start doing all of the stuff that we was talking about earlier before the break.
Great.
Yep.
And then to kind of just get back caught up to speed with what you've been talking about, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our own experiential learnings that let us know, we know that our audiences have these types of interests. And we're going to go start plugging those in to find out if the things that we know our customers have interest in, to find out if those are actually something that's registered on the Facebook network, basically, right?
Correct.
So because not everything I have interest in is necessarily something that's targetable on Facebook, right? That's the
Correct.
And took the words straight out of my mouth, and that's something really, really important for everyone to know. So just because
they don't know everything.
But they don't know everything, all right? And just because, and back in the day, like pre-Cambridge Analytica, a little fun fact for everyone, pre-Cambridge Analytica scandal, you could do so much more intense.
You could do so
Oh
much more.
my gosh, honey.
The Wild West.
Oh,
Those
it
were the
was.
days.
Well, I tell you what, it was the Wild West. It's scary in terms of data, but as a marketer, it's like, give me that data, let's use it, because I can do some cool stuff with this. Now, you can still do really powerful stuff with the data at your disposal. It's just not as easy. And
Right.
a great point that I just want to dial back on is interests that you can target through audience insights and through the ad set targeting layers of Facebook don't equal page likes. So just because you can target, say, gym, just the broad category of interest of gym inside of audience insights and ad set manager, doesn't mean that is targeting the page on Facebook called gym, right? So let's say that and it's really great way to spot test this is to literally go, if we're using a really broad keyword like gym, we type in gym into basically normal Facebook, and we see the Facebook page for gym show up, right? I don't know if there's a page, just hypothetically speaking. Now, let's say that hypothetically the gym page shows up and there's 6 million people that like this page, right? So you're like, cool. So gym has 6 million people that like that page. But then you go into audience insights and you type in gym, and it has, 10 or 12 million people that are interested in gym. Now, the reason that there's a disconnect between the interest that you're targeting or researching and the actual page like is because page likes don't equal interests. The way in which Facebook's backend categorizes interests is not the same in which it categorizes page likes. So that's something really important to keep in mind, because if you're targeting gym and you think you're targeting the Facebook page related to gym, most of the time, it's not the same. So that's something really important to keep in mind.
But Facebook is basic because of their evaluation of the way people interact. They're saying we're going to target people who are most likely to be interested in gym, right? So
that is correct. That is
Great.
correct. And then it comes down to what we were saying before about working out and optimizing your affinity score. Because if you put an interest into your targeting, which is gym, and you might think that it's a great interest to target. For example, let's say that we, using the same example as before, we put in MyFitnessPal and we put in Strava as two of the interests. I think that's what I said before that we were targeting in this hypothetical example. And then the affinity score, let's say there's 75,000 people in this audience at this point, and then you put in gym, and the affinity score before for the top of the top suggestions of page likes was say sitting at 363, and then you put in gym, and the audience size grows from 75,000 to say 10,075,000. And then you see the affinity score for the suggestions of the top pages now drop from 363 down to say 52. And what you've then done is, you've added in and you've built a way larger audience, but the likelihood of this audience now responding positively to what you're going to be sending to them compared to other people on Facebook, because the affinity score has dropped, is a lot lower. So they're a lot less likely to respond to the creative and respond to the ads that you're running because you've made it so much broader.
So that means somebody who is going to go advertise on Facebook, they could start by just going into an ad and adding a bunch of targeting criteria. This tool, and then basically if you do it that way, you're having to, by just investing the money, you're basically having to spend your money to figure out if that was a good approach. And
Correct.
What Audience Insights is doing is basically saving you money from having to spend that. You're doing some preliminary research that gives you some indication about whether people are likely. And Paul, how does Facebook, I realize this is part of their algorithm, but are they using some historical activity in your own Facebook account to dictate whether there's an affinity with you? What's the general concept there?
Yes, that's a great question. And so I'm going to speak to my understanding, and with every advice and just as a blanket rule, and I say this all the time, just because I've got lots of experience and I do well with Facebook ads doesn't mean that what I'm saying is gospel. I always recommend that everyone tests and iterates. And then a lot of the stuff 100%. In terms of as it relates to the algorithm side of things, a lot of it is, it's kind of all kept a bit hush-hush. So my understanding, based on what I've read and from my own research testing, is that the way in which Facebook calculates the affinity score is based off a plethora of data points, right? It's based off your interaction history, how often you're logging in, the cumulative number of pages that you've liked that fit inside a parent category or an umbrella category of what you've liked already. And interestingly enough, if you are curious as to why you're seeing the certain ads that are targeted to you, so if you want to flip the script and see, okay, I'm seeing all these ads rock up in my newsfeed. Why am I seeing these ads rock up in my newsfeed? So for example, for my newsfeed personally, I see ads for software platforms like Agora Pulse. I see ads for, from Social Media Examiner. I see ads related to Facebook and Instagram marketing. I see ads related to building six-figure businesses online. Now, I know why I'm seeing those ads because I know what I interact with on Facebook. I know which pages I like. But what you can now do is go into on the personal side of Facebook, you can go into into the settings, and I can't remember exactly where it lies, but there's an area in your personal settings. Yeah, there's an area in your personal settings.
On the right little caret.
Yep, and you can see all of the pages in which you've liked and all of the pages like over the history of your profile on Facebook. And then keep in mind that on top of that, it's also going to be based on the Instagram pages that you follow and the Instagram accounts you interact with. So Facebook takes all that data, all those interactions, all that user history, all those data points across Facebook and Instagram, and they put you into these different silos of categories. And then that's where you fall into, or those are the umbrellas in which it categorizes you. For example, I like a bunch of pages related to fitness on Facebook, therefore I have expressed an interest in pages related to the gym. Therefore, I'm in that gym interest targeting category of, say, 13 million people.
Got it.
One time right after a breakup, I was on Facebook and I got this ad for how to deal with the breakup or something like that. And the social media marketer in me was like dying to know why they targeted me, right? I mean, I'm still convinced they have the mic turned on and are using that, but whatever. That's
So what they might have done is, here's a little fun example. You can do so many. I love this stuff so much. You can do so many cool things with not only interest targeting but behavioral targeting. And then you can when you get super nerdy, you can layer all of this together, right?
Oh God, I love it.
So let's say that I'm working for an online e-commerce company that sells diamonds, specifically diamond rings. Now, everyone on Facebook shares so many aspects about their lives, right? Now, to the point where, Facebook knows how long you've been in a relationship for. Facebook knows if you're engaged. Facebook knows if you're recently engaged. Facebook knows if you're about to get married. Facebook knows if you've just become divorced, right? Facebook knows if you've just gone from being in a relationship to single, right? Why do they know that? Because through your personal profile attributes, you're telling Facebook what's going on in your life, right? So you change, let's say you're in a relationship, taking your example, and Crystal, you're in a relationship and you're in a relationship on Facebook, and then you've changed your relationship status to single. What does that tell Facebook? All right, well, that tells Facebook that you are no longer in a relationship, right? So then in terms of the not interest targeting, but behavioral targeting that you can do at the ad set level, you can target people that are recently single. I believe you still can do that, but I definitely know that you can target people that have been in a relationship or recently engaged or been in a relationship for X amount of years. So if I'm working for this fictional diamond company and I want to run ads to promote these diamonds, then I'm going to be targeting people that have been in a relationship for X amount of years, and I'm going to split test that against, people who've been just in a relationship versus people who've been in a relationship for, a few years, and I'll split test that against people that have just gotten engaged. And then I'm going to run aspirational based content around these beautiful diamond rings, and I'm going to split test that to both men and both women, because you think that, okay, well, the target audience, realistically speaking, hypothetically, should really be men, because men are the ones that are typically going to be buying the diamond ring. However, you also want to be targeting the women, and you want to be split testing the women, because the women are the ones that will be like, hey babe, I just saw this really cute ring. It's so cute. Don't you think it's cute? And then again, all hypothetical, but you see where I'm going with this. And then the man's like, oh yeah, does look really cute. Like, which one do you like more? Interesting. And then he goes on to that.
Continues. Yes.
I
Exactly.
like when you do the split test of the actual scenario in two different voices. That's probably my favorite part of this call so far.
I appreciate that. Just trying to make learning easy for everyone.
I love it.
The man then goes onto that same website, which is, so there's two parts, there's two entry points for this funnel at this point in time, right? You've got the split test of the man and the woman, and then you've got the woman telling the man, like, hey, this is a really cute ring, I think you should have a look at it. And the man's like, oh, this is the one that she wants. I'll make my wife to be real happy. Let's go. And then he goes, so he might not have been caught by the targeting that we did for men. He's been communicated IRL with the wife to be. So then he goes on
for all of you out there.
Exactly. And then he goes on to the website, that specific website, diamond website that I'm now hypothetically working for. And then we Facebook pixel them, right? We Facebook pixel the man, and then we can run retargeting ads to them at the bottom of the funnel. So we basically just sidestepped the interest targeting for that man, because we've caught the woman that's then recommended that he check out that ring, and then he loves her. So he's like, I'm going to go do some online shopping and see if I can afford this and all the rest of it. And then we pixel them, and then we can retarget them based on website interactions and website activity, if you set up your Facebook pixel correctly, for up to 180 days.
Okay, so mind blown out there for everyone. But what Paul just did, you might want to play it on slow or on repeat. He gave you a lot of free consulting advice here. He took you all the way from research to pixels and how to retarget. So I just want to say that is a lot. And there's a reason experts like yourself have a very hefty client base, because it is something that if you don't have, all day, every day to nerd out about social media, that you may want to look at hiring someone for. However, what I will say is, before you do that, I always think the best approach is to test things out yourself. So for small businesses, Paul, what would you say if they haven't really dabbled in it yet and they know now is the time for their business? How would you tell them to get started with Facebook ads, or a main takeaway for kind of that first initial test?
100%. So many things to say. I'll start by addressing the timely nature of this episode and what's going on in the world. Facebook has a supply issue. And there's a supply issue in two ways. One, there's a supply issue in terms of Facebook has a limited amount of resources, known as placements, in which it can run ads on at any given point in time. So placements being things like Instagram stories, Instagram feed, in-stream video ads, right side news feed ads, in mobile news feed ads, et cetera, et cetera. And they've also got a supply problem in terms of eyeballs. So at any given point in time, there is a limited amount, so there is a capped amount of eyeballs that can consume ad content on that limited amount of supply of real estate in which you can run ads. Now, when you think about, and this is basic economics, supply and demand, when you think about how Facebook ads and the costs of Facebook ads work, it's an auction, right? So at any given point in time, you are going up against other advertisers to get in front of your audience for the ads that you're running. Now, the price of that auction in terms of whose wins, in terms of whose ads get placed, are a variable of the supply, the eyeballs, and the placements available, as well as the demand, right? Now, demand keeps so supply, up until this point in time, supply of eyeballs and supply of placements has been limited, right? And it's basically like decreasing. So as supply decreases, the cost goes up, and demand has also been increasing. And as demand increases, basic economics, price also goes up because you've got more people competing to get in front of your audience for limited supply. Now, what's happening at the moment, which is the first time that it's happened in like years, especially since the IPO, like back in 2011, 2012, what's happening now is everyone is at home because of what's going on, and everyone is now socializing and spending way more time on social media than what they were just compared to a month ago. So now we have more of a higher supply of eyeballs, which is now increasing the supply of people that we can advertise to, which hypothetically, statistically would mean, all other things, ceteris paribus, so all other things being equal, means that supplies increase, which leads to a decrease in price. Now, obviously, this is met by a lot more advertisers advertising in Facebook because of what's happening, but it also has been met by a decrease in demand because a lot of advertisers are cutting back on how much they're spending on ads because they're saving money because they're in very frugal, it's very tough economically globally at the moment.
Right.
So as a call to action, I've just explained to you how an auction on Facebook works. Now, if you keep that in mind, I believe that right now it's one of the best times for you to get on board with Facebook, especially if you've never tried it before, because the ads are most likely going to be cheaper than what they would usually be, even compared to, say, a month ago, because they've got so many more eyeballs to get in front of. Now, if you're starting out for the first time, I recommend using the steps that we've discussed already in terms of building a cold audience targeting. I also recommend playing around with retargeting and targeting your warmest audiences first, because if you haven't set up the Facebook pixel on your website, install the Facebook pixel on your website yesterday, it needs to be done. I can't stress that enough.
It's so easy.
It's so simple, and the new tools on Facebook make it so simple, and there's so many free YouTube videos that literally step-by-step show you how to install it. And depending on what platform you're using, it could be as simple as creating the pixel on Facebook. It takes like 2 clicks, and then copying your pixel ID and then pasting it into the pixel ID section of your platform supplier. If it's like Shopify, it's like a 3 to 4 click, 5-minute install process. It's easy as pie, no coding, no developer needed, Yep. And then in terms of starting out, start out with the amount of money that you would spend on a coffee every day. $5. Yeah. Spend $5 targeting a cold audience in a cold audience campaign, and $5 a day targeting a warm audience, which are based off your retargeting audiences. And that could be retargeting people that have visited your website. It could be retargeting your email list. It could be retargeting people that have engaged with your Instagram or Facebook profile, and then run creative and run ads variable to the audience that you're speaking to. So customize your creative and the language and the copy and the offer, and whether you're actually trying to sell something or whether you're just trying to provide value, customize that to the audience that you're speaking to, because the way that you speak to a cold audience is going to be different to the way you speak to someone that's already brand aware. A warm audience already knows who you are, whereas a cold audience needs to learn about who you are. You need to build trust, you need to build rapport with them before you can actually get them to take out their wallet and buy from you.
Oh my gosh, I could talk to you all day long, Paul, but our producers are already telling us we blew through all of our time. I can't even believe that. Well, I shouldn't say blew through it, because that was a lot. It was like a Whopper-sized edition here. Right, Scott?
I love it.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And I think, I think there may be some people out there that don't have a lot of experience. And I think I'm glad that you ended with, there is a small way to start. There's a lot of anxiety about Facebook, and I've tried this and I haven't. So I love that we gave tools that allow people to go out and research in a way that can maybe set up the likelihood of success even more, and also create insights about our audience. And I love that we gave them simple ways to start, and super helpful stuff. I think, finding more customers is something that I think almost every single business wants to do, and there's obviously a lot of energy
100%.
around Facebook. So,
Paul, can you say where everyone can find you if they want to look up more or get some more information?
Absolutely, Crystal. My handle is Paul Ramondo on everything. So that's PaulRamondo. The best way to reach out to me is via Instagram. Drop me a follow. Send me a message if you have any questions. I literally reply to every single message that I get. And yeah, from there you can... it's basically Paul Ramondo and everything. PaulRamondo.com, Paul Ramondo Instagram, Paul Ramondo on YouTube, Facebook, etc., etc.
nice.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. That's actually, guys, for everyone out there, that's how I got a hold of him. So thank you, Paul, for responding to my DM. And
thank you for having
me. So
me.
much for all of your time today. It was so invaluable for everyone listening. Like I said, you taught this old dog some new tricks, so I appreciate it. And man, we're going to have you on here again, talk about some more Facebook stuff.
Would absolutely love to do that. Thank you so much, Crystal, and thank you so much, Scott.
And
thank you so much to everyone listening.
Yeah, you bet. All right. Thanks, Paul, everybody. We're going to call this a wrap for this episode of Small Biz Buzz.
Thanks for listening to Small Biz Buzz. Please take a second to subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star rating. It helps keep the show going. And if you need a hand with growing your small business, head over to Keap.com. That's Keap.com and get started. More business, less work. That's Keap.